Hello everyone, welcome to my review of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a romantasy book, which is short for romance fantasy. It was published in 2015. I'm actually new to the romantasy subgenre. I read fantasy, as you know, but not romantasy. The closest thing I've read to romantasy was Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which had like love kind of like in it a little bit, but wasn't romantasy, if that makes sense. So it's very limited. I'll also let you know this book is definitely not for children. It's an adult fantasy, like romantasy book. So, if you expect me to go over spicy scenes, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to talk about it. I keep this family friendly. That's just what I do. But anyway, so that's just to let you know. Keep this video spoiler free, and I'll let you know about to the part when I switch to spoilers in the video. So put a little timestamp when it gets to that point, or just a warning, one or the other. So we got that going on. We're going to talk about in the non-spoiler section, we'll talk about the characters, the world, and then the magic, and then I'll go into spoilers. In our character part of the video, just the reason we're doing this is so that if there's something you're interested in, you may pick it up and read it. So we start with Feyre. She's our lead and does not change perspective. The cast of characters is quite small, or at least small from what I'm used to. I wouldn't say quite small, but smaller than what I'm used to reading. It never changes perspective from Feyre. It is written in a first-person perspective. I'm used to reading third-person, so it took me a bit to kind of get in that mindset for first-person. But hey, that's part of it. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that's different. Anyway, Feyre's female. She is hunting to survive and get food for her family. They used to be rich, now they're in poverty, and that's essentially it starts it off. We have Tamlin. He is the love interest to her, and he is a high lord of a certain court. Keep it spoiler free. And my knowledge to Fae is very limited. Fae is short for fairies. What I know about Fae or fairies is basically like Navi from Legend of Zelda and like Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. And so it's very limited. But from what I can gather, like the high Fae, which it sounds like almost all of them are like super pretty, or I keep thinking of the SpongeBob meme of, oh no, he's hot, that whole thing. So they make them like super pretty and all that. So Tamlin are handsome. So Tamlin's like really handsome, and she's like, oh my gosh, he's so great. Anyway, so he can like shapeshift and all that fun stuff. He's the leader of his court. And then you got Lucian, who is like the second in command. He doesn't like Feyre at first, but then grows to like her. And you have, I pronounce it as Alice, but it may be Ellis. It's like A-L-I-S. They're like, she's like the maid. And so those three characters plus many more in that court are cursed to wear these masquerade animal masks. So they'll talk about that later. Then you got the antagonist, Rhysand, who I really thought Rhysand was a cool character, even though he's like a bad guy. I kept thinking of Oko from Magic the Gathering when Rhysand was described, or anytime he was like on the book or in the scene of the chapter. And so you got Rhysand, and then you got the villain, which is Queen Amarantha. I kept thinking of Mara when I read it. Just kept it short, and she more present near the end of the book, but she's like the main reason we have all these problems. And so that's like your main important cast. Of course, you got your side characters or the minor characters, which is like Feyre's family and her father and her like human lover. Like that's very small, I feel like, to the story. I may get some hate for that, but I didn't think it was super important in my opinion. Because I just would be like, okay, they're there. Okay, they complain. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so that's the character portion, and we're going to the world. So in the world, that takes place in Prathen. So Prathen's like this big old continent, big old hunk of land where like 95% of it is run by the Fae that's divided into courts. There's this wall that cuts through it in the bottom. The mortal realm is to the south, and there's a little tiny slither of it in the very bottom. And past that wall is all the Faes. The land is divided into courts, each run by a High Lord, including Tamlin, right? And there's this island to the west, which is like Highburn, I think, which is where the Queen's from. So we don't really get a lot about Highburn, but we spend like the entirety of the story on the Prathen continent, this big old island. So that we stay on there. Anyway, so that's part of the lands. Just talk about the Fae of the world real quick. So I mentioned earlier, there's like the High Fae, which are more like the super pretty, handsome elves. And you got like low Fae, which if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but it sounds like when they say Fae, they're talking about like all the magical creatures, so they can look human, they cannot look human. They can be a wisp, but it can be this thing that wants to eat you. There's not like a definitive like this is a Fae. Like it's like very ambiguous, I feel like. which isn't like a bad thing. I'm just not used to it. So like there is a distinction between high fae and low fae. Usually high fae are like way more powerful, way more respected. So let's go into the magic system. So the magic system, I would consider it a soft magic system. A hard magic system has a defined set of rules, such as like Brandon Sanderson's work. So like Mistborn, you eat the metal, you burn the metal, magic, you can do magic with it. Or in Stormlight, you suck in the Stormlight, you burn the Stormlight, you do magic with it. So it's like a fuel. Like there's like you understand like if I do this, this has to happen. I have to have this to have this happen and all that. And so I don't think this magic system here is hard. It's a soft magic system, which is not a bad thing. It just depends on how you write with it. And so me talk about the magic here is, so the magic is essentially all within like this Fae world. Like the mortals don't really have magic at all. They know of Fae. They know that they used to be slaves, and then there's like they don't like each other, that whole divide. And in the Fae world, they can use this one magic that pops up every so often is a glamour, which is like illusion magic. They can like hide things. They can do fast healing. They can shapeshift. They can shapeshift others. They can torture you in your mind, among other things. And so like you get bits of magic, but there's no real set defined rules to it. And so that's essentially the magic system of it. So if you like those things I'm describing, character, world, magic, go for it, read it. But now I'm going to go into the spoiler section of the video. So I'm going to go over my favorite parts of the story. One of my favorite parts was Feyre going out into the wild to capture a Fae to get answers that the Faes within the Spring Court could not, because, you know, they were cursed, but she didn't know that at the time. And it was revealed, well, not revealed, but during the time the answers were revealed to her, and then she freed it because these other evil Fae came in to attack her, and she had a cool fight scene. So I really like that suspense and answers being given to us, because for a while I'm like, I would have questions. I'm like, okay, well, what was that? So I thought that was done very well. But I would say my very favorite scene was the scene when Rhysand returned, because we you know, this is like the second time he shows up, I believe. And Tamlin hides her with the glamour. By glamoring Rhysand, he couldn't see her, but he sensed he was being glamored. He got so mad. There was a cool like suspense, and the intensity of that chapter was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? He's going to hurt her. Is Tamlin going to fight? Blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was really well done. It was built up to a pretty good idea, or pretty good point. And I really did like the end fight, because as we learn through the book, Rhysand like has his own motives, because he's been treated saying like, oh, he's like the forced lover for the queen, and like they kept labeling him that, but he wants to be more than that. He wants to be free. Like we knew like he had a motive. And it has showed showed through the trials when he basically forced Feyre to agree to a contract to him. And that's what gave her these tattoos with the cat eye and everything on it, which helped her solve the second trial, because there was like 3 trials they had to do, plus the riddle. And he came at the end after she died to fight the queen, and then Tamlin joined in. And I thought it was a really well done scene. And so I thought those were my favorite parts of the story. But I really want to touch on the trials. I really did like the idea of how they try to keep the blight ambiguous of the queen to the big reveal, saying the queen is the blight. She cursed them, they couldn't say it. And then this build up to the 3 trials of Under the Mountain. And so the 3 trials were like the worm, the lever, where she couldn't read, because it's revealed early in the book that she can't read. And so the cursed hand thing with Rhysand helped her pull the right levers. And then the third was the daggers to kill. And I kept thinking to myself, one of them's probably going to be somebody she knows, which was Tamlin. And she does stab Tamlin. And then she solves the riddle saying, I love you, but she was too late. And it killed her. But then that's what freed the curse from Tamlin and company. And they all fought and defeated her. Then all the High Lords came, and they basically brought back Feyre as a Fae, which I thought was really interesting that they could do that. And so in the end, I was pretty happy with those parts. But I want to go into what I thought was the slow parts of the story. I was not a fan of the romance buildup. I thought some of the scenes just kind of went meh for me. It's weird to go into detail, because really a lot of it was just meh. I'm like, okay, they're trying to like each other, or she's dismissive, or he's trying. Like I don't know. I just didn't feel great to me. And I was not a fan of that family reunion section. I thought it really killed the pacing for me. She left, met her family, and then just the pacing went, and then it kind of went back up when she was like, I need to go back to save Tamlin. And then that's when the story started picking back up. But in the end, I want to go over to my rating. So, yes, if I give a thing like a 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, if it's a 3, I mean, it means it's average. Does not mean it's bad or it's good. If it's 4, it's above average. 5 is excellent. Does not mean it's perfect. Perfect. So for me, this story, I gave it a 3. I thought it was an average story out of all the fantasy books I've read. I've been told many times that the later books get better, and she's written like her other series she's written are a lot better too. So I don't know. I don't know when I'll get around to the next part of her books because my TBR cart's still pretty full, but I'm getting there. So I'd really like to know your thoughts and opinions on this. So please, give a response, share. Maybe you liked something that I didn't. Maybe I didn't see something or I missed something. So yeah, my next video I'm going to do basically a over the year rating. Like I'll do like a tier system. Like here was I thought was my favorite book. This is middle, low, and just have some fun with it. The books I read over this year. So yeah, hopefully I see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.